Okay, right. Let's cook. I'm Ginger Z, and you are inside my kitchen in Rockland County, New York with this guy, Miles. So this is my kitchen. It's the first real kitchen I've really had. It's such a special place. It's so homey and inviting. And every time we have family and parties, everybody stays in the kitchen. I love everything in it, but I will say the island. The island is everything. It has an outlet, so I use that for like food processing and blending and when I'm making cookies and all of that. Oh, the pot filler. You never knew that you needed a pot filler until you have a pot filler. That thing will save your life. Then you don't have to be carrying these huge pots of water all over, spilling them. The microwave, that's the other thing. It's a drawer, it comes out. You didn't even know it was there, did you? I started cooking, mostly dove in once I started working in meteorology, because meteorology is just long hours, crazy things. You often have holidays on your own, so I didn't want to be like foodless, and I didn't want to eat at Taco Bell every time. So bean burrito just doesn't have the same ring to it on Thanksgiving. So pasta explosion is the name of this dish, and it really, after we had Adrian, Ben realized he wanted to start cooking on his own, and he was going off book. And this was kind of a play on something that he had had before, but he wanted to make it very basic and simple so that as Adrian was getting into solid foods, that he could eat it and it wouldn't be too much for him. For this recipe of pasta explosion, you will need pasta, but you can of course use an alternate like lentil or chickpea. You're gonna need olive oil, butter, garlic, lemon, broccoli, artichokes, mozzarella or goat cheese, olives, sun-dried tomatoes, and then you could have kale. Oh, and don't forget the wine. Some white wine, dry white wine, whatever you got. First thing you need to do with this one, get that water boiling. I don't know why it takes forever, I feel like, but pot filler. All right, so get that thing going, full boil. Don't forget to salt this. Salting the water is critical because you need your pasta to have that flavor. Otherwise, the whole dish is gonna be saltless. And one thing I've learned from being in my cook club and having all my friends come over and cook in my kitchen, don't be afraid of salt, even in your water. Next step, and this is the important part because this is what takes the longest, the pasta first. Now I want broccoli. So grab the broccoli, cut it up. I love making the broccoli small. This is a huge part of it because who wants to put this whole thing in their mouth? Like that's not a bite that generally works. Like if you come, you're gonna get this in your bowl when my husband makes it. Honey, I love you, but like, that's the thing is if you make these small enough, the kids are gonna eat broccoli in every bite because they can't avoid it. Okay, so we'll put this to the side. Now that's prepped. Next is garlic. So I'll just do some really thin slices for the garlic. I would do like, I mean, you can play with the garlic. This is where it doesn't have to be exact. So the garlic is done. Now, this is where I'm also like bringing in all my like family's weirdness. I think you need a little bit of olive oil, and I will add it. But my dad is a big health freak. He taught me that you can actually do the beginning of cooking garlic with water. I was really skeptical. If you really want to stay away from the fats or if you want to reduce them, because now we'll reduce them, it works. So once that starts to like really bubble up on the edges, you can add your garlic and then it's going to start its own little cook. It's nice because it has little broccoli on top of the garlic. Do you know I didn't have a wooden spoon for the longest time? And every recipe's like, take a wooden spoon and do this. And I was like, is a wooden spoon really that big of a deal? It is. I think it just makes me feel more legit too. I'm gonna do a little bit of butter to now bring in my tiny bit of fat, because otherwise you would have had to do a lot more butter. So once that melts up, now we wanna add the broccoli. And now the broccoli is essentially gonna just saute and kind of steam, because you have the water in there. And this is the critical part. You do not want the broccoli to burn. So really give it a lot of like, get those sauces on there. So I'm gonna add a little bit of the white wine now. I don't know how much, just pour it around. So now you can cut up the sun-dried tomatoes. We cut them super small for the kids. It's like a little strip. This is like about right. I would not just use the sun-dried tomatoes, but use the oil. So just use that oil just a little bit, dress that up a little. Now my dad's water thing is like out the door. Now I'm gonna take this down. You can tell it's starting to cook well. This is where I like to taste it though. This is where my husband and I differ. All right, artichokes. So I don't do these packed in oil necessarily, but they're marinated, right? So like you definitely at a certain point can get too oily in this dish. And yeah. So this is just, you know, as it's going, oh, the pasta, it's boiling. It's boiling, everyone. It's happening. In it goes. So let that go for the 8, 10, whatever. I like to underdo the pasta because you're gonna add it to this. I'm gonna do olives now. So you can get any type of olive I think is gonna work. Kalamata would work, we've used those before. But these are really good, and there's something, I don't know why, but I love like the nostalgia of a black olive. All this stuff is gonna go in, and this is what's nice is that the flavors are all starting to like hang out with each other in there. So something that I did not mention and I really think could help pop this dish is even just a couple of red pepper flakes. So that's one of those things that you may even put on the side for somebody to add later, but I like them in there. And just a little so that the kids could still eat it. And I'm gonna do lemon. Just that little bit. Okay. So all we have to do is wait for the pasta. So once this is ready to go, a little al dente, now you can add your pasta. Now you're gonna let all the flavors marinate together. The other thing that I'm gonna do in my version is kale. Daphne Oz just taught me something and it's gonna change your life. Are you ready? You can take kale, take the woody stalk, and just go like this. Did you know that? I've been ripping kale so slowly for most of my life. Kale obviously wilts very quickly like a spinach would, so you could throw a little bit of this in. Now's the cheese. Now, here's the fun part. So if you have a fresh mozzarella, and Ben would tell me I have to say it, mozzarella. You just cut it into kind of like, again, I would do really small pieces. And this is something you're gonna add last. The goat cheese, if you wanna do both or if you wanna do one, I would add after. You don't even need that to cook it. And the this cheese, you could mix it in now. So now this is gonna come in, it's gonna get ooey gooey delicious, and you are going to love it. I always plate things. I get really interested in like what it looks like because I've wanted to do all this cooking stuff. And Ben's like, why are you doing that? We're just gonna eat it. It's kind of like how he doesn't like lingerie. It's like a little bit of a waste. Like the food's right there, you know? Okay, so here's where it's not just about plating, but you can add that extra flavor. Here I'm gonna do a little goat cheese just to make it pretty too. Pasta explosion, friends. Okay, let's taste it. And I want so badly for each bite to come out, oh, look at it. Hello, friend. I'm happy every time.